You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards-Nagel, and Taylor Polindo.
Okay, we're back with another episode of our New Year's resolutions, and we're excited that you're joining us. This is part 3 of our series, and we are going to talk about getting intentional today. So I want to start by saying that one of the most common resolutions that you hear for any year is that we want to save money and spend our money more wisely. And so, of course, that makes sense after the holidays because I'm thinking about my bills, and my bills have been really big this year for the holidays. And so that kind of gets us thinking on the road of intentional behavior, not how it was, but like, how do you want it to be? And so New Year's is kind of a fun holiday, I think, because it gives us a fresh start. So as we're talking about that fresh start, I thought we'd pump ourselves up a little bit and talk about some poems that we selected that we wanted to share with you. So I'm going to start, and this poem is from Ralph Waldo Emerson, so a classic. And here's the poem. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret or anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt creep in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. Now, this new day is too dear, and with its hopes and invitations to waste a moment on yesterdays.
Be present.
Yeah, not focused on yesterday. I kind of like the part where it talks about forget about what happened that went wrong. And immediately I thought about rumination, and I thought, oh, that's my anchor all the time. The thing that won't let me go forward. It's rumination, pulling me backwards. Right. And so I thought about that. I thought, I love that quote, the idea that we have to kind of wash it clean each night and say, okay, so that was that. We're starting again tomorrow. We're not going to worry about yesterday.
I like it. All right. My turn. Mine is by Socrates. What's the right way of saying his name? Socrates. Thank you. I tried. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. He says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So what I like about this, oh, I thought someone was laughing at me already.
Not yet.
Give it time.
I like that the focus, I'm using a word from the quote, but that the focus of change is about where you place your energy, which I know we're going to get into later in this episode about our time, right? And that if we want movement or change, it's not resisting what's already been, but looking towards the change that we're wanting to make in our life, I would say.
Seems very applicable for a New Year's. Yeah.
I like that.
New Year's.
Okay. And here is mine. Author unknown. I stopped waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel and lit that bitch myself. And I love that.
Classic Taylor.
I love it for the power that it gives you. It's all in your hands. Only you have control over what's going on. A lot of times we have intentions or expectations, but you cannot control anything else, anyone else, except for yourself. So it gives you all the power. Can't put blame on anything else. It comes down to you. It can be daunting, but I think it's very empowering.
Yeah. I like it.
Indeed.
We're not waiting on anything else. Do it
They all
yourself.
kind of go together. Yeah.
Like that bitch. All right. So anyway, I love all those things. I like when we pull from different people's way of thinking and kind of seeing what we can pull from them. So,
yeah.
But in response to all of this, what I want to know is, how does this relate, number one, to this themed episode of part 3 of our New Year's resolutions.
Sure.
And we get the idea now that we're all talking about being more intentional, what sounds like, with the self-control that we have, or just the day, or change. So how is this relating this week?
Well, I kind of think of it as, so when we talk about saving money or spending money more wisely, it seems like we're just saying I have interpersonal resources. Like how it would relate to our podcast is I have interpersonal resources and I'm not going to just waste that on anybody. I'm going to actually pick and be selective about that and not just go, oh, it's the end of the night. I wonder what happened, or I went through the whole day and I didn't really pay any attention to what happened today. And this idea is that we kind of get after it a little more, which I think is kind of an intriguing idea. So our podcast is about communication and relationships. So then that kind of brings us to what resources do you want to share? And one of the things that I was researching is I thought, there's some people that say, I spend my time so wisely. And then there's other people that say, I don't spend my time wisely enough. And I was laughing going, we all have the same amount of time per day, right? So we know we have 24 hours, right? That's easy. How many minutes do you have in a day? You have 1,440. How many seconds? Over 86,000 seconds, right? And so we have the same amount of time. And I just find that interesting that you can have completely different takes on it, even though we actually have the exact same. So the question, is what are our thoughts about that?
That made me think of the meme that, people compare. If you think about it, Beyonce has the same amount of time in the day as you do.
Stop it.
And the response is, I don't think Beyonce spends 2 hours waiting in line to LAX.
Touche.
We don't
She
really
has global entry or something.
Funny.
But what I'm thinking of with this is, I feel like a lot of times I overextend myself when it comes to my resources. And I think having a second kid has made me realize I just can't do it all anymore. So I just have to cut back, because if you try to do too much, then everything becomes like poorly done instead of doing
100%,
something very well.
Yes.
I think honestly, like I've had to cut back in the amount of relationships. I don't have the time anymore to spend. I used to like really keep up on a lot of relationships. And I have finite resources. I don't have the ability to do that as much.
Right.
But then
go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, just a reminder then to be very intentional with the time I do have when I get to see those people. What were you going to say, Mary?
I was going to say, would you let me you don't have to, but would you let me make an observation of that
Totally.
resolution, if you will?
Yeah.
In observation of knowing you over the years, I wonder if part of what's happening in that is, yes, you cutting back, or the time, of course, but also I think a lot of people in your life has been so used to you spreading yourself so thin that now that you're making intentional time to stop doing that and exhausting yourself, people are uncomfortable with this new version of you saying no.
It's costing me a little bit, I would say. But yeah, people are not used to it. I think my husband, unfortunately, when I really think about it, I think my husband is used to it because he's used to me saying yes to everyone else. And it probably has cost him the most.
Yeah.
And then realizing of all the relationships, which one should be first, or just which one I want to be first.
Yeah.
Not even a should. So that, I think we've talked about that, putting plans on a calendar, we plan too much, to not make plans, things like that. Anyways, that's, I guess, what's sticking out to me. What about you guys?
I like that. Go you, 2022, Taylor. I pulled 3 specific bullet points from this because I am visual and have to take notes. So if anybody else wants to take a note, my 3 notes were.
Did you use a calculator?
I could have, but I'm good with 3. Okay. I can handle 3. Okay. It's the big numbers.
Fair enough.
So in creating this analogy of the New Year's resolution of saving money or spending money more wisely to intentionality and looking at the communication parts, I pulled time, intentionality in relationships, and taking it a day at a time. And for me, the resolution for this one in particular is saving the interpersonal resource that, like, sometimes I do. I think we talked, it was one of these episodes ago, one or two, Taylor, where you talked about people that like busy themselves all the time. And you always have to like do this or do that. I think about that. And I've been trying to just like drive home from work and not even listen to music or listen to music, but just be with myself and enjoy that time, or be okay with not planning something every night. Like, I think sometimes like, oh, if I have a free night, that means I need to fill it with something. Yeah. So last night I was like, I'm filling it with me time at the grocery store. And I'm going to go real slow, and that's it.
Did you flirt with the cashier?
You always have to do that. Actually, it was funny.
Did you say you I like your eyes?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I actually had a big sweatshirt on, and he was really nice and was telling me something about went really well with whiskey. And I was like, oh, I'll be sure to have that in a few months. And he looked at me funny, like, and I was like, because I'm pregnant. And he was like, you are? I was like, but anyway, so time, intentionality in relationships, and taking a day at a time with myself.
I like it.
Good.
I actually didn't think of it that way. I thought of it more outward. So mine's more related to outward, which is one of the things that I think a lot about as a teacher of subjects that are related to our podcast is you can't teach these things and have no game. Like, if you don't
like
do
swagger,
like you have to do it well.
You have to do some stuff well. Like, you can't just say, oh, these are my best friends, or these are my priority people, or these people are on my 1-by-1, like all these things, and then not consistently nurture those things, those relationships. What I think about related to this one is I'm going to go back to this because I used to do this. I'm going back to doing one intentional act a week toward my friend group. So whoever that,
what's an example? What do you do?
Yeah. So whether that's texting, whether that's giving a call, whether that's hanging out, but not just, because I think you can say, oh, these are my best friends, and then just not see them for 6 months. And it's like, really though?
Will they still be your best friends?
I mean, I don't know. I just think on some level, we have to kind of own that and say, you can't just say relationships are a priority, or label that, obviously some relationships you can't hang out all the time logistically, but you could do things to connect you for sure.
Didn't Brene Brown just have a podcast about this on Unlocking Us, about friendship, like the work that it takes?
I have no idea. I didn't listen to it, but I do listen to that podcast.
I didn't get to finish it. I only just started it, but she talks, there's something about on her Unlocking Us about like friendship, and that you can't just have good friendships. You have to put the work in to make them the good. Yeah.
Right. So my resolution is to every week. So that's going to be 52 times next year, or this year. It's already 2022, and reach out and just be intentional.
I like that.
And for any of my friends listening, I'm picking you. So get ready. Not that my friends listen. I don't even know.
Before we go, I wanted to remind everyone, it's still January. There's still time. Good stories are coming in. But if you want me to pick you, you got to send it to hello@afafpodcast.com or to our Instagram, Taylor.
AFAF.podcast. Tag us, DM us, whatever.
So for those of you not watching, we're holding up mugs that we want to send to you.
Maybe we should tell them a little bit more about it.
So we're talking about mugs, and if you're listening to us regularly, you've seen us plug these before. On one side, the logo; on the other side, #NotCoffee. You can fill in the blank
to put coffee in mine.
That's right. I actually haven't either. And don't forget, the thing that you are sending us, the story, is part from our family survival kit from December.
How did you survive?
November, December. How did you survive your funny story, serious story? How did you survive the holiday? We're going to pick 3 of them. We each get to pick which one we want.
That's right. We want. All right. Very good. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello at afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.